Hi, Sandra here from Create in Spain. Today's tutorial is going to concentrate on borders and frames and how to save them with a picture so that you know what you're going to be looking at a later date. Now, I'm sorry, but I use a Mac, so this is Mac based. The basic tutorial of how to make the frames and borders will be the same, but the actual saving it with a picture, I'm sorry, that's different, and I'm not sure that Windows can actually cope with that. So that bit won't apply to you. But a lot of people find it quite difficult to do a border around something, for example, which is rectangular or square. It's easier to do a border around a circle because you can actually use some of the fonts and use text to path to do those, but you can't do that for all the shapes that you want to do, and it doesn't work if you have a square or a rectangle, obviously. It can't cope with the corners in the same way. If you're going around a circle, everything's even and it's not a problem. So, okay, first of all, we've got a square or rectangle, doesn't make much difference which it is. And I decided I want to put a border around it. So what I'm going to do is make my little border pattern. So I'm just going to do a few little circles in here, right? And I'm going to select this and I'm going to make it a compound path. Now, if I was to put this on here and then copy them to the other corner, I would run into a problem because of the fact that it's a corner. I'll show you what I mean. If I go to the replicate and I go duplicate right, okay, now I want to turn the corner, so I'm in problems. You know, I've got difficulty there. It doesn't work quite in the same way. So what I'm going to do is just take these out of the way. And what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to go to the rotate tool and I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees to the left. And then I'm going to center it so the center is on the corner, like so. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to then go to the replicate and I'm going to mirror this right because I want these to be mirrored and not exactly the same because my design isn't symmetrical, so I want that to be mirrored. Okay, and I'm going to mirror that below and I'm going to put that one there and I'm going to mirror that one left and put that on there. Now I'm not changing the angle of these. Okay, so now you can see I've actually got the design sorted on the corners. So how do I get the rest of it filled in? Well, this is relatively simple. First of all, I'm going to take that and I'm going to group it so that I don't move these around because you know what it's like. You try and select something, you select the wrong thing and you move it. So I'm going to put this in here and I'm going to put it again so that the cross is on the line. And I'm going to put this one on here so that the cross is in line. And I'm not overlapping them. I could do, depending on what the design is, I could overlap them. Now, as you can see, I've got my little circles on the inside on here. I wasn't taking any great care of the design that I was doing. It's just the principle of the thing, okay? So these will be lost, but that's not my worry. So I then duplicate to the right, and then if I select all of these and go to the alignment tool, I can space them horizontally so that they're equally spaced. Now that one's overlapping that one, but that one's not overlapping there. So if I slightly overlap that one, oops, just like so. Sometimes it's easier just to use the arrow keys to do that. And then if I select all those and space them horizontally, they'll even out. You can also make sure that they're level by aligning the top, and if need be you can move the whole lot then back down. Okay, so that is how you do it, and you repeat that in between these. Once you've got this lot done, what you can do is to group them, and then you can actually rotate them. If you rotate one copy, you'll get another copy of this, and you can literally put it where you need it down here and do what you want to do. That's assuming if it was square. If it's not square, obviously the length is different, so you might need more or less copies. But basically that's all you have to do, and then you take the entire lot and you weld it together and you get a nice even frame. So that's how you do it. Okay, so all your items will be individually lined up and spaced properly, and you won't have funny little shapes that don't match up. That's how to get it even. All right, now you can do that with your squares and rectangles and things. If you want to do an individual border, this is how I suggest you do it. If you just want to do one edge border, this is how I suggest you do it. Make yourself a nice rectangle, make your pattern that you want to do. Again, I'm just going to do a few little holes in here. Whoops. Okay. Right. Make this into a compound path. You can use your buttons. I nearly always right click. I don't know what it is, but I just click. And then you can put your design wherever it is that you want it there, and you can duplicate it, right, and move along a few copies, and there we go, that will do for me. But if, for example, I did, whoops, I clicked on the wrong one, duplicate, right, and maybe I shove this one in here, then I can take the whole lot and go to my alignment tool and align them horizontally so that all the overlapping is even. So then what I would do is I would group those, and then normally I would weld it to the base. Now you notice that I've not lined up the base so that it's at the edge of these shapes. I've given it some extra width, and there's a very good reason for doing that. You can give it as much extra as you like. So I select the entire lot and I'm going to weld it together. So I have my border. Now if I decide this is too deep for me for the use I have for it at the moment, but I think, well, actually I might want that depth of border later on, simply duplicate it, go to the knife tool, hold down your shift key and draw your line across. Oops, I didn't do that very straight, did I? Let's do that again. Okay, let's do a straight line this time. There we go, that's better. And then you can take this, you can throw that away, and you have your border with a narrower strip. Because if you take this and you just do this, you're going to alter the perspective of the whole lot, which presumably you don't want to do. So that's how you make the border narrower. Now the beauty of this is that you can then, if you have a larger item that you want, you can duplicate it, you can overlap it. All right, I'm just purposely making this so that it's not even. You can then go to your alignment, align the top or the bottom. It's not going to make any difference because it's the same object. Let me just move this out of the way. Okay, and then you can select the entire lot and you can weld it together and you have a longer continuous border. You have to make sure that you get the gap overlaid the correct amount, because otherwise you will get this tiny little mark there. But you can play around with that till you get the gap to match all the others. But it does make it a lot easier for making longer lengths if you need them to be longer. Okay. Now, regards getting the picture to show up with the file, I have a program called Skitch. There are others that you can use, but this just happens to be the one that I use because it's easy and it allows annotation of my pictures. All I do is I open Skitch, and this was the last thing I took a Skitch picture of, and up here it has capture. So I press capture and I want a crosshair snapshot in this particular case. For example, all I want to capture is this bit here. That's given me the capture. I then minimize Silhouette Studio. I'm already having this open. This hasn't been closed out, so I can go to Edit and I can go to Copy. All right. If I then save this one, I can go to File, Save As. Okay, I'm just going to put in border 102. Save it to my desktop so I can see easily. All right. I should have done that before I closed it down originally. Anyway, all I have to do now is right click, get info, and at the top here you see this Silhouette Studio logo. Double click, go to edit, go to paste, and that will put the picture on my actual file. And so when I look at it, I can see what the design is without having to open it up. Now obviously it works better if, for example, you've got a colour in there. If I put a colour fill in here, it would work a lot better. Now I'm just going to get rid of that. The one thing you have to remember about this is it's great, but if you go into that file and you edit it and you save whatever you have edited, you will lose this picture because the computer thinks, aha, it's a different file, so the picture isn't going to be relevant. So when you open these things, what I suggest you do is you get into the habit of just opening the file, selecting all, copying it and pasting it onto a new page. Then you can do what you like to it, you can edit it, you can do whatever you want. And when you close it down, if you save it as a new file, then you take another picture and so on and so forth. But it won't affect the one that you have opened. And then when you close down the file in Silhouette Studio, like so, I didn't make any changes to this one, so it didn't offer me the option. But if it says, do you want to save your changes? When you're closing down the original file that you opened, you just say no. And then you will still have your picture on your file, and that's the way to keep it. It saves a lot of aggravation in the long run, and it's well worth doing. I've just gone through the majority of my files and added screenshots to every single one of them that needed a screenshot. If it's something like a card base, and I've got, I don't know, maybe plain card base or a tiered card base, I know what those are, I don't need a picture of those. But for all the designs, I've added in the pictures. It just makes life a lot easier. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and it's been of use to you. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.